Hi, everyone. We are going to talk about your Going Gothic assignment. This assignment is due at the end of the Gothic Americans module, which is a very short module. There are only about 2 lessons in it. So, for this module, the big takeaways I want you to have are the features of Gothic literature. If you think of dark and brooding and sad and mysterious moods whenever you hear the word Gothic, then you're pretty much on track here. So, those are really kind of the most important things I want you to know from this module. But also, I want you to understand how imagery and mood really contribute to a reader's perspective on a story. So, that's kind of what we're playing with for this assignment. So, for this assignment, you are going to imagine a work of Gothic literature as a film, and you are going to describe in detail how the film might best convey its Gothic themes. So you are going to complete this worksheet, and this is what you will submit for your assignment. So the first thing you're going to need to do is choose a work of Gothic literature to consider producing as a film. And this can be something that we read in the Gothic Americans module. It can be something that you've read previously. For example, The Headless Horseman that we read in the Romantic Americans module is a really great example of Gothic literature as well. So if you really liked that story, you might consider using that one for your assignment here. Really, the only requirement is that your choice here has to be classified as Gothic literature. So all you're going to do for number 1 is type your choice in the box. So for number 2, you are going to identify and to describe one important scene from your literary work that you absolutely think has to appear in the film version. Now, this can be your favorite scene, or it can be a scene where, like, if you're trying to convince your best friend that they absolutely had to read this story, this would be the one scene that you had to include in your summary to convince them to read it. So really think hard on that one and to describe to the best of your ability that scene for me. Number 3, I want you to suggest some filming locations, props, and sets that you think will be needed to convey the right mood for the film version of this scene. So, for example, filming locations might be, are you going to film this scene in a studio and you're going to use like CGI and other really cool high tech graphics to kind of flesh out the scene? And if so, what's it going to look like? Or you might want to film on location somewhere. So, describe to me the location, the place, and the setting where you would want to film this scene. Do you need to go somewhere else in the country? Are you going to film it in a city location or in a rural location? Is it going to be during the day or at night? Kind of things like that. And then for props, I want you to think about the type of stage makeup or other details and props that are needed to really set the mood for this scene. So, for example, do you need to maybe get a fog machine because you want some fog rolling in your opening scene or in the scene that you're going to describe to me? Things to think about. And then other important details that you might want to include to really help capture this specific mood or emotion that you want your viewer of the scene to have. Now, for number 4, the last question, I want you to decide how you think this film should begin or end. All right. So in the space below, you're going to describe the opening or the closing scene. You do not have to do both. Just choose one opening scene or one closing scene. So for example, if you were going with an opening scene for your movie, depending on what your story is, I'm just kind of giving you an example of what this could look like. You might say that the scene opens at midnight. There's not a star in the sky. The camera pans around a vast open field. No one is in sight. All of a sudden, music kicks on, really gets your heart thumping, and you see one person sprinting for their life across this open field. And close behind them, something is moving after them. That may be how you decide to start this. You tell me, depending on the story that you choose. So I want you guys to really be creative and think outside the box and really use good imagery and details to set the mood for the scene that you're trying to describe to me. So once you have completed these 4 questions, that's your assignment. I want you to go up to the share settings button in the top right. And I want you to make sure that your share settings are set to services.live. And when we have done that, click done. And then we are ready to submit our assignment.